A very, very big thank you for joining me in our the largest annual show. We have a practice of holding this show every year in December, and even after facing the pandemic, we still have been able to manage it in the first week of December. Yes, we have moved over online, so that is Nordic India Show 2020 digital. It is coming to you at your own place. The concept behind this show was that just like the normal or a regular conference and exhibition, this platform should provide all those inputs, and we have been able to provide that to participants. We have booths where you can talk directly to the exhibitors, representatives. You have video linkages from where you can see their products or their projects or talk to their other staff, their plants, their workshops, whatever. You have a conference which is fully recorded and delivered, followed by interactive sessions where the speakers could be communicated, contacted, and the topics could be discussed so that the issues are easily conveyed. I would like to thank everybody that in spite of the pandemic, you have you have joined us, and it is one of the largest number delegate set that we have got, and I'm I'm literally honored. As has been practiced in our all earlier Nordic India shows, we have been releasing various publications, manuals, guidelines, or papers which are used in the industry for various purposes. This year also, we have released four books, as you must have seen in the inaugural. I'm right now talking about those four books and introducing each of them to you so that you can use those in your practice and operations and interact with us for more knowledge sharing, more knowledge gain, and executing the projects, educating your students, whatever you want to do. All those are here. So, I am Dr. Niranjan Swarup, Director General, Indian Society for Trenchless Technology, and have been working here for substantially long periods where we had very, very lean time, we had good time. Today we have a difficult time, but yes, we are going strong. And that because you are with me. Thank you very much. So let's start the presentation. The structure is the background of the thing, new releases, general condition of contract, special conditions of contract, schedule of rates, site investigation for Trenchless projects, and finally concluding remarks. This covers the four books that we are releasing in the show. Background. Trenchless technology, as you are aware, is an ever-evolving segment of the construction industry with multidisciplinary inputs coming from almost all the branches of engineering technology. You have mechanical engineering, you have mechatronics, you have electrical engineering, you have electronics, you have civil engineering, you have geophysical engineering, you have geotechnical issues, you have material engineering, you have chemical engineering, you name the engineering, and it is a part of my business. Everything, any engineering would come in. It is pure applied engineering technology business. And this basically means that it is evolving, ever evolving. The sector is quite young. There is an extreme paucity of written materials, guidelines, codes that are essential for successful project execution. So much so that the techniques which are getting developed today, they would not have a universal documentation to support their application. If one trenchless technologist in one nation has developed some material, its indigenization in another nation becomes a challenge. And INDSTT has been quite successful in doing that indigenization by interacting with various stakeholders, both Indian as well as international. And with them, we have been able to bring 7 different code of practice, which basically cover the new installation techniques of microtunneling and horizontal directional drilling. This covers rehabilitation techniques, which are cured in place pipeline, GRP pipeline, and MWSL, that is machine wound spiral lining. Then we have published uh, pipe bursting, that's the replacement code, and the subsurface utility engineering code. So all these codes provide the basic technical specifications for executing the project. To address the lack of information situation, INDSTT has been working and published 40 different books on trenchless technology sector. And I'm proud to indicate here that they are being extensively used. These are basically the screenshots in the coming 3 slides. I've just copied the list of publication which is given on our website. The link is indstt.com publications HTML, and you can find details about these publications. These are also hyperlinked. So if you click on the link, you'll reach the basic description of the book and understand what is being dealt in that book. You'll find that there are few books where we have written out of print, and the reason is that those books have become obsolete and their revised edition, which is going to be completely overall book, will be coming out, and that's the reason we have written out of print. So these are the first page was up to 16, and this is page up to 32 books. Then comes the 40, up to 40 books. So all these books are basically published by INDSTT, and they fall under introductory books where you can get the introduction to trenchless technology, application and operational guidelines, how do you apply the things and how do you operate, standard operating procedures of different techniques, your codes of practice, as I indicated earlier, contract guidelines, and schedule of rates. So these are the category of books we publish. These have been published to assist industry stakeholders in trenchless project planning, contracting, executing, and other related actions like capacity creation, R&D, academia. You think of it, and they can be used. These books provide information of relevant materials at a single location and help in optimizing the activities by sensitization. As the sector is ever evolving, the published materials tend to get obsolete quite fast, as you saw that out of print link on my page. To contain that obsolescence, INDSTT brings out new books or revised editions of already published materials on a regular basis. This year, we proudly released the revised edition of four INDSTT important publications, that is General Conditions of Contract, Special Conditions of Contract, Schedule of Rates, and Site Investigation Manual. These books also serve as instruction and training manuals for various INDSTT training programs. So once we publish a book, that is used for training the learners in different aspects on which topic the book has been prepared. Now let's come to the new releases. There are 4 releases as I indicated. The book 1 is Standard General Conditions of Contract for construction contracts employing trenchless technology 2020. Second book is Guidelines for Application of Special Conditions of Contract in Construction Contracts employing trenchless technology. Schedule of Rate for Construction Contracts employing trenchless technology 2021. You will find that this particular book has next year's number. We follow a practice that every Nordic show we publish the schedule of rate, which starts its year from the 1st January onwards. So every year we publish a new schedule of rate, which basically overcomes the previous one, which supersedes the previous schedule of rate and is functional in that particular year. Until we publish the next one, this remains in force. The fourth book what we have published is Site Investigation of Trenchless Project. This is the second edition of that book. The first two books were in third edition, and the schedule of rate, if you would have noticed, it is in 13th edition this year. Now let's look at the book General Conditions of Contract. This is the third edition of the book, and if we look at the basic background, while using trenchless techniques, reduction of impact of pipelaying and replacement work associated with open construction techniques is possible, but there are enormous technological development within the subsurface construction sector, and those are not covered in the regular construction contract processes. Earlier, this development had a very little impact on the way the projects were executed within the sector. A normal excavator or a backhoe, it was taken as a benchmark, and based on that, the contract documents used to be framed. Yes, that would lead to many anomalies. Most of the contracts were modeled on those, and a general civil construction work, like if you are expecting somebody to execute a project, you would ask for a specific financial background that the person or the company should have this much turnover. That turnover basically is an average money spent over a period of time. Now, trenchless projects sometimes are very short duration. Now, in that, those timelines are not there. So naturally, those conditions, if you put in the contract, become superfluous, confusing, and conflicting. And once that happens, obviously, either you don't get the contractors, or get the contractors, you have to simply overlook your basic conditions. Now, to avoid this particular anomaly, the prudent way is to address these and take the basic conditions. This could be done through the GCC book, which we have published. We have been publishing since 2002. The GCC book attempts to provide a framework for engineers to establish contract conditions to address the cases and concerns. The first edition was published in 2002. It was a very small book because we had only 6 techniques approved those days. The second edition was released in 2011, which was printed in 2013. Now in 2020, we have come out with the third edition, and which supersedes all the earlier editions, because now there are many things which have developed. The revised third edition covers new clauses that have been essential and address the developments in the post-COVID world, and omits few that have become obsolete now. INDSTT would be converting the earlier training programs on this manual now, and they would be offered to interested learners and the project authorities or the people who want to train their engineers and officers in framing the contract conditions. There have been several INDSTT training programs where the manual has been an integral part, not the sole part, but integral part. For example, detailed project report training program that we conducted recently. Such programs also would be revised, and a fresh programs would be coming in. As intended, the manual could be used for creating contract documents as the primary need of this book, or its conditions could be included in the existing contract documents to make them more encompassing and reduce the conflicts. The second book that we have come out is the Special Conditions of Contract. It's named as Guidelines for Application of Special Condition of Contract in Construction Contracts Employing Trenchless Technology, 2020. Guidelines for Application of Conditions of Contract in Construction Contract Employing Trenchless Technology was first published in 2002 to provide guidance to project owners in developing contract conditions for their trenchless technology projects. There have been a sea change in the technology application, and through technological advancement, several uncertainties have been removed. Like for an example, when you are tracking something, that time tracking any drill head below the ground, that time the trackers used to be quite less precise, I would say. The precision has grown, and today you have a very, very good measuring systems. So obviously those uncertainties go away, because when you're tracking something and your margin of error is huge, your drill head or your excavation head might be at one end of your spectrum or at another end of your spectrum, and that might lead to failures and accidents. So the conditions framed for that condition, that situation, need to be refined, because now you have a more precise equipment. So why would you build in for the risk factors? So those could be reduced, and that's why those new conditions have been drawn in. General sensitizations about the technique also have grown substantially, and therefore revision also has become imperative. The third edition is now released that provides readers with appropriate information that is more synced with the times. The revision include description of new trenchless techniques that have been in vogue since the last publication, that was in 2011, stipulations for operator and worker qualifications who would be deployed for planning, designing, contracting, executing, and supervising the trenchless projects, site investigations including overground survey, subsurface utility engineering, and pipeline condition assessment. While you are doing a trenchless work, you need to have the information about your site, and that information basically uh, forms the guideline also, because if you have certain specific type of soil, you need to have a specific type of project arrangement, and that those guidelines are provided here. The last but not the least, the risk. We have included a full new chapter on risk and their management of underground construction projects. This is very, very important, because the people who are planning or designing or tendering the projects may or may not be aware of all the risks involved. And somebody has to understand those issues and build in the conditions to basically mitigate those risks. So that chapter has come in. And then, as I explained, some of the obsolete conditions which were basically not needed now have been removed, making this edition more up to date. This edition provides several opportunities of capacity building. For example, professionals working in the sector could enhance their prowess by going through the structured strength sensitization or full training. Those desirous to enter the trenchless industry market as entrepreneurs or workers would get the proper guidance. Engineers graduating now could explore this market, and if they find it interesting, they could join INDSTT both as members as well as the society program students. One more thing is the engineering students who are right now in training or who are right now in education, they can join as a student member of INDSTT, and they can benefit by networking, by going through our publications, our books, our uh, video recordings, then interacting with us, including me, and clarifying their doubts. We do work with many students, and I would invite all of them. More of those. The third book is Schedule of Rate for Construction Contracts Employing Trenchless Technology 2021. As I explained, this will become effective from 1st January 2021, and that's why the number. Now, what is the background behind it? One of the primary concerns at the time of planning a project is the cost valuation. Unless a project planning engineer provides the background of estimated project cost, no financial decisions can be taken. How would I know that my project is going to cost 1 lakh rupee or 10 lakh rupees, a million rupees or 10 million rupees? I would know that if I have some kind of background information. Now that background information, if it is not available, I cannot provide. If I am a design engineer, planning engineer, I cannot provide that information, and no financial decisions can be taken. Or even if somebody takes a decision, it might be completely unscientific. On the other hand, trenchless technology operation being state of art, every time the work will change. There will never have the same input item, which is works as well as costs. So what do you do? Because this creates a level of uncertainty for a planning engineer, as without the input cost, the gross project cost estimation is next to impossible. When we started with the schedule of rate, the basic concept used to be that each department used to have their own old projects on which they used to build up their estimates, or they would go to the other organizations who have already executed such projects to take their inputs and create their estimates, which most of the time were off the mark and often led to some kind of uh, vigilance or investigations and bad situation for engineers. To cover that particular issue and provide a uniform and honest benchmark, we came up with the schedule of rate books. The schedule of rate for trenchless technology addresses these concerns by providing an expected unit rate of different approved trenchless technique. Now, since it is published by an independent organization, it is not uh, it's not expected to be providing any benefit to everybody because uh, it will be completely unbiased and it will provide inputs for estimation, for price negotiation, for price fixation, then finally execution of project, and if at all if there is any extra item claim getting created, it will address that. Similar to the other two books of contract document set, the first edition of this book was published in 2002, as I indicated. This year, we have come out with the 13th edition, and over a period of 18 years, this book has grown to become the main source of benchmarking information about various trenchless techniques. And a large number of project owners, consultants, and contractors use this book for cost estimation, bidding, and price benchmark fixation. It is one of the most used publications in Indian trenchless technology segment of the construction industry, as more and more urban projects are being executed with trenchless options. With pandemic, it is expected that more restrictions would be there and social distancing would force many of the works which used to go for open cut or conventional construction methods would turn over to trenchless technology. This would also further enhance its importance. It has been able to contain project costs in many cases, remove doubts as it standardizes the trenchless process, mode of measurement, different items, technique as well as supporting activities because it provides a specification of item, it provides a gross deliverable from the work, it provides what is minimum equipment complement, it provides a mode of measurement. So all those things put together helps you, or rather helps somebody who is not that much aware of the technique to at least know what he should expect from ordering this kind of work. The book also provides opportunities for imparting various trainings, and participants are invited to interact with us for joining such programs. The fourth book that we have brought out is a site investigation for trenchless projects. This is in second edition, and the background behind it is the success of any trenchless project depends extensively on the quality and extent of site investigation. If your quality of survey is good and the extent to which you have gone is better, your success in your project will be there. If you have a very shoddy quality survey and the extent is very, very scanty, in that case, your project failure chances will be higher. Being a subsurface project, good portion of investigation activities require special techniques and skilled technicians. As I indicated in my uh, conditional contract portion, when you're talking about subsurface construction, there are basically three major survey informations that you require. You require the ground profile, you require the strata profile, and you require the buried structure information. If you have all those three covered, then your information is complete. If it is not, you may end up in damaging something within your project battery area. The manual aims to provide complete information about such techniques and necessary skill sets to perform the investigation activity. Failure to adhere to these could lead to incomplete or erroneous site investigations, leading to a failed project or damaged utilities or both. Why I say both? Because you could damage your own utility or you could damage somebody else's utility or you can fail in your project. So to avoid this, you require to have a proper site investigation plan. The implementation of necessary site investigation process is essential. This manual discusses common site investigation methods for Trenchless project for specific approved techniques, technique-wise investigation information which is there, so that the practicing Trenchless technologists can plan and implement the site investigation program. This book is in its second edition and includes the description of subsurface utility engineering, which has come in after we published the first edition. The link INDSTT code of practice that we have published, and it has various stipulations which come in, types and details of Trenchless projects, challenges in Trenchless projects, and other link matter. So these are some of the extra inputs which have come in into this edition. The first edition of the manual was released in 2013. In the intervening period, INDSTT published the code of practice for subsurface utility engineering, providing more definitive solutions for subsurface construction challenges for detecting and designating the buried utilities in project battery area. This knowledge is expected to help in avoiding the utility strikes to great extent and is essential for practicing trenchless technologies. To meet this specific need, INDSTT has released a site investigation manual for Trenchless project second edition. Similar to the publication released in INDSTT 2020, this manual also provides several opportunities of knowledge enhancement. INDSTT, in association with its training partners, Aqua Foundation, is conducting 2 series of training programs, and several programs have been conducted in these 2 series. First is subsurface utility engineering, and the other is geophysical techniques for trenchless technology projects. Outcome of the first project is certification of the learner as the SUE engineer who is authorized to approve a subsurface utility map. See, when you conduct a subsurface survey, then if you're simply plotting it and giving it a location and its designation, that what is the quality of that information, you help the trenchless operator, equipment operator, designer to plan their path so that they can avoid any strike. So that is an essential tool for trenchless projects, and these people who get trained as SUE engineers are basically educated in that. In the post-lunch session, Dr. Sanjay Rana will be talking about these 2 programs. He will also be talking about another program which is for the rehabilitation, and that again comes under investigations for the site project. These 2 are extremely important programs, and learners must join these to understand the basics of advanced subsurface investigation. And we invite all of you to consider participating in those programs. Now, here comes end of my presentation. My concluding remarks are, in Knowing India Show 2020, INDSTT has released 4 important manuals. 3 of the new publications pertain to bidding process, and 1 manual is linked to site investigations for trenchless work. We feel that because of pandemic, the contracts will have to be revised, and therefore the contract documents have been brought in. We also feel that because more work in the urban region would be required because of social distancing and because of requirement of substantial amount, like let's say for an example, a very, very simple example, that we have been talking about washing our hands very often. Now for washing your hands, what you require is some soap, some tap, which gives you the water. Now that water has to reach your home. And how does it reach? It reaches through the pipes, and if the pipes are malfunctioning, I'm sorry, you can't help it. We do have a presentation from NASTT, basically an NASTT workshop on the concluding day of this show, where we are talking about AI for AI, that is artificial intelligence for your aged infrastructure, or that would be talking more about that. And the starting line, what I of that program is the same one which I told you. Now these manuals supersede the earlier editions of these books. These manuals stipulate conditions to optimize the trenchless projects, and INDSTT proposes that construction industry stakeholders should use these manuals extensively. We are available. If you have any doubts and questions or interactions, we can work with you. We can look at a project, assist you. We do assist people in uh, their subsurface construction projects, rehabilitation projects, or replacement projects execution by providing them the contract condition formation for their projects, for education, to many things. Now, these manuals also provide benchmarks for cultivating professionals to serve the trenchless industry. And INDSTT invites the individuals and organizations to avail the benefits of the linked training program planned to be conducted soon. I would like to thank you. And this is my contact detail. I sit in Nehru Place, New Delhi. We do run a YouTube channel. You can search us on the YouTube, or you can note down the YouTube link. This can be opened and you can see the videos or training programs that we have already conducted. You can see those. We go on uploading those videos so that people can directly view the videos and learn more about trenchless technology. So that's the end of my presentation. I thank you very much. And at the end of this session, if there are any questions or points, I will be too happy to respond to those. Thank you very much.